Okay, so I'm at the Meiji Shrine, which is one of the more popular tourist spots in Tokyo. I'm walking through the garden area. The shrine is dedicated to the Emperor Meiji and his wife. Apparently they used to come here and visit often, particularly this garden area. Emperor Meiji, he was sort of like the Deng Xiaoping of Japan. He really embraced capitalism and reform and helped develop the Japanese economy. He enjoyed eating Western food, drinking Western wine with his meals, dressing in Western clothes. He seems to be pretty revered here in Japan. He's responsible for a lot of the industrial and economic growth near the beginning of I think it was the beginning of the 1900s, end of the 1800s, somewhere in that time frame. They've kind of deified him, which is like turned them into gods, which is always strange to me, to treat people as gods. That's what they do in North Korea. Oh, the dog, what is it, Hachiko? The Shibuya dog. I found out what the deal is with that dog. The dog used to go with his owner to the Shibuya train station every day, and he would come. The dog knew exactly when the owner would return home, and he would go back to the station and wait for his owner at the same time every day. Well, one day the dog's owner went to work and died at work and never came back, but the dog kept going to the Shibuya train station right there at Shibuya Crossing. He kept going back there every day for 10 years at the same time, hoping for his owner's return. So, very loyal dog. So take that, cat lovers. There's no cat's going to do that. Well, it's been a few days now, and I think I can safely say that the English level in Japan is terrible. Thinking of the three major Asian countries, China, Korea, and Japan. If you ask somebody can you speak English, and they say a little. Well, in China, if you ask them, can you speak English, and they say a little, this means you can probably have a fairly normal conversation with them. There might be a lot of Chinglish vocabulary and grammar, but you'll find the English level in China is pretty high. In Korea, if you ask somebody if they can speak English and they say a little, it means they can probably give you directions to the train station or bus stop that you're looking for. In Japan, if you ask them, can you speak English, and they say a little, it probably means they can say hello, goodbye, and thank you. I was talking to somebody in a bar last night and asked, can you speak English a little? And the person could speak no English. Had to talk through a translator app, which is a pain in the butt. It's just, being able to speak a foreign language, whether it's English or the language of whatever country you're going to, is just so much more valuable for having the conversations, because nobody wants to use those damn apps. They're impressive, but they're a lot of work, and you're always having to go back, and the app doesn't say what you want it to say, and I think Japan is a very livable, or Tokyo is a very livable city. It seems like a very easy place to live, but anybody, any foreigner that is coming to Tokyo to live, I think you would have to really study the language in order to feel comfortable here, because there's just a very non-existent English level. And it's interesting because the Olympics will be here in a couple of years, but just walking around Tokyo, I've only run into a few English schools, whereas in China, if you're just walking around any major city, you will run into English schools everywhere. And it shows. Chinese people have a pretty good English level. It kind of makes China feel a little more integrated into the world, really. I love the vending machines here. I mean, you can get anything from these vending machines. You want an ice cream cone at 1 o'clock in the morning? No problem. You want a cold beer? There's vending machines that sell beer. There's vending machines that sell pretty much everything. Well, I had to pay $5, which is about 30 renminbi, to get into this little park. And I must say, it's not very impressive. I don't really see any running water, or maybe because it's winter, everything's dried out. Was waiting to go back to the hotel last night at a subway station, and I was listening to this with a foreigner standing next to me. These Japanese guys were trying to talk to them, and of course their English was terrible. They had no English, but they were trying to talk with each other anyway. And the foreigner was living here in Tokyo, and he was telling them that pretty much his whole paycheck is consumed by rent. I don't find the food to be too expensive here. The subway system is pretty cheap, even though I really don't like the subway system here. It's too confusing, too much of a pain. But I think as far as cost of living here, it's got to be all on the rent. Where he was telling them that his whole check is pretty much used on rent. And of course they had interesting questions for him. He had a full beard, and they wanted to know if he also had a full beard in his groin area too, which I think, and they got a big laugh out of that. So yeah, they had interesting questions for him as well. They really love the color black here. If you go on these subways at night, and like rush hour in a Western country is like 5, 6 o'clock. That's when everybody's going home. In Japan, forget it. It's like 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock. They work late hours here. But you'll see these subways just packed with black jackets, black suits. They really love the color black here. I had the fortunate opportunity to experience that famous Tokyo rush hour on the subway line where they have to shove you into the subway car to fit everybody. And oh, that's a miserable experience. Be just shoved in there like sardines into a subway car. And it's just you feel like you're gonna suffocate. I can't imagine doing that every day. For me, I had to endure it for 10 minutes, and it was just torture. To think that people do that every day, I don't know how they do it. I think I'm I'm officially Chinese now. I came to Japan and bought something at a Uniqlo shop, which seems to be the thing Chinese tourists love to do. Buy clothes from Uniqlo and medicine from the Japanese pharmacies. I was hoping this would be more interesting. You know, I didn't check this out first. I just thought, oh well, charging me 500 yen to get in. It's the gardens that the emperor and his wife used to love to visit. You know, it's going to be interesting, but not really. This is one of the top-rated sights to see when you're in Tokyo, and it's pretty uninteresting, to tell you the truth. It's okay. So that was probably the most fluent English speaker I've run into in Japan, the guy that said sorry to me. Well, Japanese people have been very nice, very polite. If you bump into somebody in Japan, they freak out and give you the sume-san, sume-san. You know, it's like a big thing to bump into somebody here. So they're always aware of other people and personal space. Whereas in China, if you bump into somebody, they won't even grunt at you. I was talking to some Japanese last night and really learned how fearful they are of the outside world. I was talking about traveling, and they asked me about my travels, and I asked them about, where have you traveled? Oh, nowhere. They've just stayed in Japan their whole lives. And so I asked them, why? Don't you want to travel? They said, no, it's too dangerous. I said, what do you mean it's too dangerous to travel? And they talked about the terrorist attacks and Trump being the new president. They felt it made it unsafe for them to travel. But this building right here, there's apparently some kind of hair salon academy. I certainly don't want anybody to see me filming them, but I'm going to do it anyways. It's just interesting. It just seems so structured and formal, and everybody's in uniform, and it's very clean. And you got the instructor in the front of the room showing everybody how it's done. He's got a suit on for a hair salon class. This guy has a suit on. And the chalkboard showing the different ways to comb the hair. Anyways, I thought this was very interesting. Nobody has noticed me filming yet. I don't want to invade their privacy too much, but I thought it was fascinating to see what's going on here. So I wanted to show you all that, and I will leave them alone now.